What we learned from this COVID crisis, we will be applying to the climate crisis.
This is a promise that nobody wants him to keep. Ladies and gents, welcome back. World is on the brink of catastrophic warming, the UN climate change report says. Now, a lot of people are thinking, wait a second, have you gone outside? Have you really gone outside this summer? I know there's forest fires in British Columbia. We're going to get to that. That's being blamed on climate change. And other things are being blamed on climate change, but you don't have to go very far than just outside of your door. Go touch grass. It's probably one of the record coldest summers that I can remember in history, but that's not what you'll hear in the news, and that's not what they're peddling out there in imagination land. I don't know what else to call this at this point, but this is the UN, and this is what they have to say.
Is running from the flames.
Who's running from flames?
Collapsing in scorching heat. And for scientists, it is unequivocal. Humans are to blame. All this is entirely consistent with predictions and repeated warnings. The only surprise is the speed of the change. The era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived.
Global boiling. Yeah, this is the clip that sent that one into infamy. We've all been hearing global boiling lately, but this is what they actually believe. That you don't have to go further than outside your door. But hey, no, you can go look at the news and they'll tell you more about this. A testament to how extreme and overwhelming the climate has been. This is this summer. This is record-shattering heat dome that has been barely covered in the national media. No, it has been extensively covered in the national media. It's been pushed out there. This heat dome that, I mean, nobody seems to notice. I think maybe you might not notice it because you go outside and there's no heat dome. I mean, if you look at the weather out there, here's weather from Kansas City. I mean, I'm just trying to pick places inside the heat dome. 84 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not very hot. That's not very hot right now, and it doesn't look like it's gonna get very hot. I mean, that's just where they're at. Where are we? Arkansas. We're seeing 13 degrees. No, 35 degrees. A high of 35. A high of 44 at one point. That sounds pretty hot, but that's not like crazy hot, is it? 26 degrees in Austin, Texas this morning. Wow, it looks like they're really suffering over there. I mean, it can get up to 42 degrees, but you're talking about Austin, Texas here in the middle of summer. I mean, that's where we're at. But right here in our backyard, British Columbia, 13 degrees this morning. Don't forget to get your global boiling hoodie and put that on. Keep yourself nice and warm during this global boiling. The temperatures might get up to 24 degrees today. That is where we're at. But this is the reality of the situation. And this is where people, where's the disconnect? Where are people missing on this data? And the data comes out and it turns out, hey, it looks like maybe some of that data is corrupted. I know there was ClimateGate a while ago. There was a number of years back where there was actual climate scientists discovered through Freedom of Information Act requests that and emails were discovered that they were hiding data. They said hide the decline in warming. This was very controversial because, well, that's not what scientists are supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be discovering and then, you know, showing their conclusion based on the discovery, not based on their political agenda or what have you, or their feelings. This is the reality of the situation. This is the 2022 edition. Corrupted climate stations. The official U.S. temperature record remains fatally flawed. And it shows in this why we're getting such extreme heat readings while the extreme heat doesn't actually exist. And the big crux of the issue here is that a lot of these weather stations happen to be placed in places that will be given higher heat signatures. And this is because they're placed next to buildings, right next to a wall. You have cases where they're placed right on top of asphalt. And these stations get moved, or things around the stations are changed. And here's a report talking about specifically a number of these stations and why they have been giving false data, and you're not going to get the correct data when your temperature probe is right next to a giant painted wall in the sun. You're not going to get the right data when your temperature probe is right next to an air conditioning unit outside of a building. You're gonna get hotter than expected readings. But anyway, we also have these memes that have been going around on the internet. This is Ryan Garrettson putting this one out. The Canadian government has claimed climate change is the reason for Canada's forest fires, and that's why a price on carbon is essential. But the U.S. has had the lowest forest burn acreage in over 10 years with no carbon tax. Funny that our government is stealing our money. And this is really what it comes down to. Forest fires cannot be prevented by taxes. This is I mean, it's absurd to have to say this out loud, but this is the reality of it. We're being sold a bill of goods. We're being told that you can reverse the changes, the extent of climate change by giving more taxes to the government, so that it's unaffordable to use fossil fuels. Meanwhile, we're sending our officials over to work with the Chinese to help them consume more of our coal over in China, to the point where they're increasing by about 400% our exports to China to give them coal. But no, they get a pass. It's not global warming. It's localized warming, apparently, at this point. So just ignore what our own government and our own government officials are doing over in China. And of course, India is another one of the big perpetrators of CO2 emissions. But is CO2 emissions really their concern? And is climate change really their concern? When you see a record number of these world officials, people involved in the World Health Organization, or sorry, the UN, the World Health Organization's in that list too, but the World Economic Forum, all buying waterfront property. How can you take them seriously when these are the things that they're doing? Now, this guy in Alberta is commenting on the climate change effects that are happening in his region right here.
We arrived. As you can see behind me, the downtown core has been swallowed by the moisture. The moisture is intermittently falling from the sky, causing things to get very, very damp. Traffic is moving. People are trying to get out of the city. We don't know what's happening inside of the moisture dome. However, we can only speculate. Sharks, saber-toothed tigers, fires, escaped chimpanzees. I mean, it's absolute mayhem, just total chaos. I'm hearing reports that the McDonald's on 17th Ave has shut down as a safety precaution. But we're also hearing that the fryer may be down, and the maintenance guy had to reschedule for Thursday. Rescheduling potentially caused by climate change. It is currently a balmy 18 degrees out here, which we can only attribute to climate change. I'm wearing a light jacket to protect from the moisture, but I do feel like I may be more comfortable in a tank top or a half shirt of some kind.
I'll leave a link in the description. You can go share that out with your friends. But if you're looking to stay warm in this global boiling, go check out the merch store. It was you guys asked for it, so we made it. Here's Tamara Leach modeling off our zip-up hoodies. There's a number of items so far on the store. We're gonna get more things coming, but go check it out. The link will be in the description down below. I think there's also a link right up there. Go check it out and get yourself something to stay warm during this global boiling. But the Prime Minister is obviously taking this opportunity to roll with it, saying that it's climate change that's causing these forest fires. And the forest fires, there is no other reason why they could be. And obviously, we need taxes to keep us from having more climate change.
Mr. Speaker, I've answered that question a dozen times. And for the Leader of the Opposition to consider that the forest fires that are taking people from their communities and destroying their homes are a mere distraction and not top of mind for people from coast to coast to coast is shameful. But the fact of the matter is he doesn't have anything to say about that because he refuses to put forward any real plan to fight against climate change, and he does nothing but fight against our plan to fight climate change. If he has a better plan, let him say it, because we've been waiting a long time for it. But
Okay, his plan is not tax us more, and this is not a gaffe. This is the Liberal Party that posted this on Twitter, but they're not the only ones. There's Stephen Guilbeault saying the science is irrefutable. We're in the age of climate change, the new normal. We must reduce emissions, build a sustainable economy, and protect our communities. It's interesting that it always comes in the form of more taxes, less liberties. This is how you get away from climate catastrophe and forest fires that are raging because of climate change. We don't have a clear answer for why climate change is setting the forests on fire, but I don't know, we could get into that. CTV obviously jumping on the bandwagon. Heat wave and dry winds causing extreme fire behavior. BC Wildfire Services. No, actually, there's no real difference in this. This happens periodically. This has happened in Kelowna. What was in 09, 03, a number of times this has happened in Kelowna. And the real difference is, well, a lack of resources, and we're going to get into that. Mike Hudima on Twitter saying 35,000 evacuated in British Columbia, 30,000 more on evacuation alert, 20,000 in Yellowknife evacuated, 26,000 evacuated in Spain. Historic heat, historic floods, historic wildfires. How many more signs do we need before we act on climate? And well, this is again the thing. How they act on climate: reduce your liberties and tax you more. This is their plan. Is this a viable plan? Now, Canada's ability to prevent forest fires lags behind the need. And why is this? This is largely to do with budget cuts. This is brought to you by the New York Times in this article. This article also from Jacobin.com saying in Ontario, Premier Doug Ford, he cut the budgets for forest management. This is obviously a bad situation, having forest fires raging, and my alarm's going off, so I'm going to need to turn that off. Amazing. Ontario, Doug Ford cutting the budget by 67% during the times that firefighting needs. Apparently, we have more of it coming. We have more of it coming in Alberta, and the UCP has cut their budget from 130 million to 100 million. But the craziest one is in British Columbia with the NDP, the left-wing New Democratic Party, who's been shoving this global warming stuff down our throats. They went from $801 million fighting forest fires in 2021 summer wildfire emergency, and they cut their budget all the way down to $32 million. This is the reality of the situation. Do they really believe in this, or are they really just enabling it to keep going the way it's going? Or this is really drawing questions into this. I put out a short today, and this is a summary of yesterday's video talking about the Shuswap area and what's going on there. The people of Shuswap, British Columbia, Canada are no strangers to fighting wildfires on their own, but this time they've been met with RCMP blockading the roads.
So I'm going to be arrested if I go across that bridge? Why are we wasting these resources right now on this?
That's just the way it is.
Like, you don't understand. Like, yeah, save your house, but when that bush is behind and I can run out there with a shovel and buckets of water and put out 30 spot fires in a day, when I
save that old lady's house,
I can save 10
she's
people's
gonna burn
houses.
down.
Not only have they restricted their travel, but in some areas they've shut off the water.
Somebody on Facebook or Instagram could tell me why there's no water in the water hydrant. You're gonna tell me it's because of power. It's possible, but I'm very, very suspicious.
And we're led to believe that authorities have our best interest at heart. So it calls into question, what are the motives here? What is going on? Now, Patrick Moore, he's written a great book. I like to cite this book quite a bit. This is Fake Invisible Catastrophes and Threats of Doom. It breaks down a lot of the things that a lot of things that people believe in. It's stuff that was taught to us since we were children. And he's obviously he was one of the founders of Greenpeace. He left since because they became politically ideological. But the book lays out a number of the things that we should be fighting for a good environment, not this catastrophic climate change agenda stuff. And he says that a lot of it is largely just untrue. And here's an excerpt of one interview with him.
One of my missions is to turn on its head the idea that carbon dioxide is a pollutant and somehow dangerous, when in fact it is the most important nutrient for all life on Earth, and without it this would be a dead planet. So I say not only is carbon dioxide good, it is essential, and it's a good thing that we are putting some more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because it was running low before we came along.
Now that would sound absurd, and the whole interview is great, but that on itself, it sounds absurd because of what we've been hearing over the past little while. I mean, here are the graphs that say, here's the temperatures and here's the carbon dioxide going way up. It's correlated. It's definitely, they're happening together, and this is something that's been going on. Now, the difficult thing to understand here is that, well, we're only looking at a small period in time, and from the 1880 to 2010 or whatever, yeah, it would seem that was the case. But if you scan back and you go a little bit further back in the data, okay, well, there's our little hockey stick, and what is all this other stuff that's happening here? What's going? Oh, what? There's a completely different story to be told here. The correlation between carbon dioxide and temperatures on Earth don't seem to correlate all that much at all. What is going on? This is where we need to start questioning things. And this is the one that really blew my mind when I read that book, because I didn't know about this data. And this is on the record. This isn't refuted data. This is just stuff that's out there. We're told that if we have a little bit more carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, we're pumping too much in. We've made our way from roughly 350 to 450 parts per million in the atmosphere. If we get above 500, we're told, that will be the end of life on Earth. However, life, when it began on Earth in the Precambrian period, had 6,000 parts per million. And even when the dinosaurs roamed the Earth, there was 2,000 parts per million in the Jurassic period. So this really calls into question some of the stuff that we've been told. I really encourage people to go check it out. Read this book, Fake Invisible Catastrophes and Threats of Doom by Patrick Moore. Sorry, Michael Moore. That's a slip. Anyway, go read that book. Have fun with that one. It's on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can go check it out. And there are many other books I'll probably be recommending. And for members of the channel, you can go hit the join button. It's down below the video. We'll be doing a book club moving forward, and this is probably going to be one of the books in that book club, amongst others. We're going to get into some of that. So if you're interested in that, go click that join button and become a member of the channel. Anyway, this video is getting too long, so I'm going to cut it here. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. Tell me I'm a complete idiot. I'm out to lunch. Tell me that stuff, or tell me that you agree with what's being said in this video. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Keep that conversation going, and we'll see you tonight in the live stream at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. Looking forward to it, and we'll see you then. Keep on trucking.